States and Britain, Tony Blair, in Iraq, in Libya, through another British Prime Minister, David Cameron, and Barack Obama, and other countries. And they knew that when they create war and devastation, and they've absolutely devastated Libya, they're now having slave markets in the towns. You're not going to go south looking for a new life. You're going to go north into Europe, which is what they did. And as a result of that massive movement of people, initially to get away from the conflict, which had been manufactured, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, yeah, that turned out to be true, didn't it? Other people from other countries have gone on the back of that and have moved in enormous numbers into Europe. Now, more and more are coming across the channel into Britain, which is creating a lot of tension and fury in the UK. And the idea is that the indigenous population, which includes many former migrants and migrant families that were born here, is designed to be in a civil war on the basis of cultural conflict. Because the migrants are not, and I say the migrants, I'm talking about the extreme ones, not rank and file people who just want a better life. But the migrants in that criteria have no interest in assimilating into the population and respecting the indigenous culture. They want to impose their own. And this is the really key thing that has to be addressed and understood. Because boats, dinghies, are coming from France to Britain, and it's systematic. It's been exposed how the dinghies that are being used by people traffickers, when they arrive on the east coast of Britain, they're being put on trucks and taken back to France so they can be used again by the government. And how these pristine life jackets are being worn by the migrants coming over. Why would a people trafficker group be interested in the safety of migrants? As long as they've got their money, it's over. Couldn't care less what happens after that, they'd say. But they have these pristine new life jackets, and they're taken back so they can be used again. And the government, at the same time, is saying, oh, no, we must stop the people traffickers. You are the people traffickers. And what is also happening is the French Navy this has been proved with the leaking of communications between the two. The French Navy is escorting these dinghies into the area of the British Border Police, and the British Border Police are taking over and helping them get into the east coast of Britain. It's all systematic. And this is the key point, because you can see the people in the dinghies very clearly that they're not. Overwhelmingly, they are not families, mothers and children fleeing war. They're coming from France. They are military-aged young men. And they're coming into this country, as they're gone into Europe, in fantastic numbers. Now, that's not a coincidence that all these military-age young men are being infused into British society. They're being given enormous benefits from the government that the indigenous population don't get and can't get. And it's all encouraging the flow to get bigger and bigger, and it's leading somewhere. And when you then go to these extreme rabbis in Israel who are saying we're using Islam to destroy Edom, the West, which has to be destroyed before the Messiah can come, then you start to get a kind of idea of how this fits together. And there are rabbis in Israel who have said that Donald Trump will go down eternally for serving the interests of this by destroying America, which is what he's doing. Everything that America claimed to once stand for, he's dismantling, not least with these tariffs, which are not paid by the exporting country, they're paid by the importer in the United States that then has to pass the cost on, or most of it, to the public in higher prices. And you've got Trump saying, oh, all these countries are giving us all this money now with the tariffs. No, they're not giving you a penny, and you know that, you liar. The money you say you're accumulating is coming from the people you said you represented in higher prices. This is why inflation's starting to really wind up in the United States. So the thing is, whenever any of these people in authority tell you something, the thing to do is to go on the premise that they're lying to you. Now, you do a bit of research, and every now and again, and it is only now and again, you'll find that they were telling the truth, or at least partly the truth in this case. But overwhelmingly, you will find they were indeed lying, because that's their job. Because this is a perceptual conspiracy to control perception, to control behavior. And lying is the bottom line foundation essential to that. And therefore, instead of saying they're the authority and they're the government and they wouldn't lie to us, accept that what they're saying is true, you take as a matter of course the fact that if they say it's happening, it's not. And if they say they'll do it, they won't. And if they say they won't do it, they will. And they're lying to you. And that, I can tell you, saves a lot of grief further down the road when you realize they were indeed lying to you because of the events that unfold. And the thing is that we look at countries, look at Belgium and the Netherlands and Britain and America and Canada and so on. But each of them has a deep state. In other words, a network that runs the country from the shadows. But you go to the next level, and all those deep states answer to the same force. It's a global agenda. And that's why people that say, we've just got to focus on America. And people will say to me, why are you always talking about America? Because you're in Britain. Why don't you look after your own country? Simple. Because America is Britain, is Belgium, is the Netherlands, is Germany, once you get to that level above that.